Welcome. I'm Carl Frederick, and I will be interviewing individuals for Kenosha Voices, an oral history project of the Kenosha County Historical Society in conjunction with Kenosha Community Media. I have worked in newspapers for more than 40 years as an editor and a reporter. 38 and a half of those years were at the Kenosha News. I am also a member of the Kenosha County Historical Society Board. We hope you enjoy these programs. I'm speaking with Dean Tawwater, specialist in hand-painted signs. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for inviting me.
So when did your parents, your family, come to Kenosha?
I believe my grandparents came to Kenosha probably in the 50s, I believe, maybe. I think most of my family came from the South, and they moved up to Kenosha to work in the factories. So to work at, I think it was American Motors probably back then.
Okay.
So.
And then what about your parents? What did they do?
My dad worked with J.I. Case up in Racine for almost 40 years.
Okay. And your mother?
My mother was stay-at-home mom. So
did you have a large family?
there was 4 of us kids, so there was 6 of us all together. So mom and dad.
And did your mom have hobbies that inspired you in some way?
Yes, she was very into crafts and creating. So she always had a big garden also in the backyard, and so we were always creating and helping with that too.
So when did you start getting involved in, I won't say hand-painted signs, but in drawing or art?
Very early on, I was always encouraged to sketch and draw. So I was always coloring and entering contests like that, coloring contests and drawing. When the family would go out for dinner and stuff, we'd always, keep busy by sketching on your placemat and stuff. So.
All right. So then, when did you start taking such drawing, sketching classes in school?
Well, art became more important for me, I'd say, in junior high, and then I definitely took it more seriously from junior high on.
Okay. And then, what kind of art classes did you take in junior high?
It was just a normal, junior high art class, but I definitely was encouraged by the teacher to do more and stuff too. So I always was just had extra projects to work on and such. So
extra credit things.
Yes, for sure.
Want to do. You continued this interest into high school, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, and that was definitely it definitely grew from there too. And I took extra classes in high school also at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Took a real interest in figure drawing. So at that point, your
interest was mostly in drawing figures.
Yeah, it was in figurative stuff and portraiture and figurative work. So definitely fine art.
Okay, so then you took this interest past high school. When did you graduate?
I graduated high school in 1995, and then went for a semester up at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design.
Okay, so did you have teachers or people that kind of were mentors, or people who gave you encouragement along the high school years?
Yeah. In high school, junior high, definitely had Mark Gray was a big influence, that art teacher over at Lincoln Junior High. And then in high school, I had Nicolay Teagarden, Miss Teagarden, and Debbie Frank also, which were big influences and encouragement.
Okay. And you said that you then, after high school, went to the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design for how long?
Only for a semester, so it was just for half a year. And that was the introduction courses and stuff. It was, I had a small scholarship and a little bit of help, but those loans were pretty large, looming ones for a 18-year-old.
Okay. So did you have any other interests at that time?
No, it was mainly art. I was definitely pursuing art, and then wanting to travel. So.
Okay. And so, did you travel after you decided the school semester was enough for now?
I did. I thought that was maybe going to be the next part of education would be traveling.
So did you travel to one spot? Did you travel around? Did you bounce around places?
I did. I traveled quite a bit. I bought an old VW bus and kind of traveled for a few months through the west, so south and west of the United States.
So did you, how many years did you do this kind of travel?
Well, that initial one only started with like a few months, so about 3 months, 4 months or so, and then
That was, where did you go?
I went south down to New Orleans, and then worked my way up through into the west, so into Colorado, and then kind of settled there for a bit.
And then you came back.
And then I came back, yes.
And then you left again.
I did.
Where did you go that time?
That time I went out to Oregon, so I went out to, thought the ocean and the mountains would be a nice mix, so went to Oregon.
Did that encourage your art by being out there?
I did. I did draw a lot there. I didn't. It was more of a hobby then, though. So I was just kind of surviving.
Come back from there, or did you go to another?
From there, I ended up back out to Colorado, and then lived there for quite a few years. Okay. So, and yeah.
Okay. And when did you decide it was time to, what do I say, come back home, settle down, focus on something? When did you decide that you had enough?
Well, I bounced around for a while, and then I made it back to Wisconsin after I decided to go back to school at the University of Wisconsin Parkside.
And then, what year was that?
That was probably 2006, maybe ish, right in there.
So, for roughly 10 years, you had traveled.
Yes.
Settled in a place for a while, bounced around, came back, went back. Tell me about some of the jobs you had and some of the places that you stayed, and how that affected maybe what you wanted to do.
Oh yeah. Well, I did a good stint of that time was probably about 5-6 years in Colorado, and I was anywhere from landscaping to land surveying, like a surveyor's assistant, to that's when I got into sign painting. Actually, was out there, so that gave me a little definitely push to find a more creative outlet for a job.
Was that the second visit to Colorado where you
Yes.
had this?
Yeah, that was the second visit.
So you had this developing interest.
Yes.
in sign painting.
Yeah.
You came back then in 2006 to go to school for a degree in.
I was thinking of becoming possibly a art education, like art teacher. I thought that would be really good. So.
Okay. And when you graduated from Parkside then in what year?
Did not graduate from Parkside, actually.
You did not? Okay.
I went for a couple years and then kind of just fell out of it.
Okay. So obviously you did not pursue teaching.
No, I I came to realize I didn't think teaching was really what I wanted to do, and I was pushing more in fine art then, and so I thought trying to sell my work more and pursue
and
more.
what kind of work did you suppose you would sell?
That was my portraiture and figurative work. So I was really pushing hard to be an artist. I had an art studio in town, and I used to have. I developed a thing where I'd have shows and would invite other artists in, and we'd have big group shows and musicians in and stuff. And then
did you have a job at the same time?
I did. I worked at a sign shop at that time, also.
So, how did the sign shop you were working at develop into the hand painting signs that you do?
There was a documentary that came out in 2013, 2012-ish about sign painters. And I saw that, and it really inspired me to push doing sign painting more creatively, like more like my art, like my figurative stuff. And that kind of pushed me to start my own sign painting business.
Okay, so Tell me a little bit about hand-painted signs, because on the surface, it seems like you have a surface, you paint it somehow, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
How is hand-painted signs different from that?
Well, hand-painted signs are definitely different than like fine art. Is what I'm thinking you're pushing toward. It's definitely different because it's not so. Signage is more. It's got to be definitely more like concrete. You're definitely trying to push like a statement across, much easier to read. Like people don't want to be looking at a sign and have to think about it too much. You need to get that image across really quickly, or information.
Right. So what I'm getting at is, it's not like painting a stop sign and just say STOP. That's a hand-painted sign.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Really, is it?
Well, sometimes they can be.
Okay.
So.
But you go differently.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge. That's a great thing about it too. There's a huge range of signs that can be made. Between like just a stop sign or a no trespassing to the sign that welcomes you into a business. Like
tell me
like their
about
logo and stuff. So
how you take it to where it gets to be
well,
art, so to speak.
Yeah, I definitely just try to keep this a personal touch to it, like keep the human touch in signage, compared to like the vinyl and real harsh computer generated stuff. So it's a little more warm. I try to keep warmth and like.
So how did you get started in your own business?
I was encouraged by the shop that I worked at the time to pursue my own thing. So that was he encouraged me to start my own thing. And like when I was saying we needed to do more of the hand painted work.
You asked him, we should do more of this, and he said, how about starting your own business?
He did. Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Okay. Now, when you started your own business, you continued to work there?
I did, and I still help him out quite a bit too.
Okay.
So
tell me how you got into the hand-painted sign business. How did you find customers?
Well, it carried over from like my days with doing like my portraiture and figurative stuff. So I'd been living in Kenosha for a bit and had a bit of a group of people that would follow me, I guess, and encouraged me and commissioned me to do work. So
Who was your first customer?
my first customer, I believe it was probably Frank's Diner. So
And how did
It
you
would've been-
get to have that commission? So
I was actually working at Frank's Diner then also as a server, so that kind of helped a little bit. So, but I had been going there for a very long time too, and was good friends with everybody over there, and they were replacing some of the outside exterior signage, and there was some interior signage that had been covered up years before, and they were wanting to kind of do a similar thing to the exterior. So
you
that
did
really-
an outside hand-painted sign for them?
yes, I did some of the lettering that when the outside needed to be repainted, and then we tried to replicate somewhat what was on the inside to the outside. And that's like when I was painting those letters, I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this, and I'm getting paid, and that helped to like grow into like definitely starting.
Was that the type of letters you were doing that made you feel this way, or was...
Yeah, they were a little bit more creative letters than just what I was painting at the other sign shop that I was working at. So
Then how did you get your second commission? Did somebody see signage at Frank's Diner, or did you have things that you decided, I'm going to show my work somewhere, and people can come and see it, and maybe they'll like it?
I had a friend that was opening a brewery downtown, and then he was a graphic designer by trade too, and he had some great logo work that he had already done, and I was like, well, let's paint it up on the wall, and so that was like the next went into another job, and I did. That was my first painted brick sign I did, was in the inside of the brewery. So, and then after that, it grew. It just, each sign kind of, they sell themselves almost.
So do you have any idea how many signs you have painted in Kenosha?
It's quite a few over the 10 years, or 12 years now almost. Yeah, I don't have a number. A big stack.
So if you walked around downtown, how many would you see on 6th Avenue maybe, or?
There's definitely probably 20, possibly.
Any examples that you can think of?
Well, there's Frank's Diner, House Nutrition, Equinox Boutique, Cut Stone wood-fired pizza truck I've done. I'm trying to walk down.
Yeah, exactly.
Public Craft Brewing, Eastview Coffee, Kaiser's Pizza, Fex Place, Modern Apothecary, Sandy's Popper.
Okay.
So that's a handful.
All right, so that's good. Yes. So pick one of those and tell me how you came to think of that sign and how it should look when it's finished.
Well, we'll go. I'll say a Modern Apothecary.
Okay.
They, when they first opened up, they had a great vision of wanting to be a modern pharmacy, but with more of an old time kind of hands-on, like more of a personal approach to their customer service and everything. And so it was a really great, fun concept to try to create, like more of a new and old marriage of ideas.
You have this concept from their vision.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about executing that?
Well, I brought in another artist that was like more of a graphic designer that was able to help too. He was really great at doing branding and stuff. So we worked together on creating the logos and the imagery, and so it was a big collaboration.
Okay.
I really like collaborating with other people, and the business obviously too.
And then in terms of the sign, did they just say, here's the 2 words, paint them up here?
Yeah, well, we had the idea, the concept of a lot of the old, making things look old.
So
too,
how did-
so
did
we
you
got
do
a
that?
lot of distressing, just different techniques of painting and stuff. So which was great. I loved researching and looking back on old signs and trying to replicate like old techniques and stuff.
So you and your co-designer
Mm-hmm.
found the lettering that was going to be on the sign?
Yeah, yep. So it's just through research, books.
So where do you go and find lettering to pick from?
Libraries. So I really like going like into old books and things.
So books of different letters,
Yep.
sizes,
Yes.
forms.
And then just researching old signs and stuff too. And that was like researching old pharmacies and old apothecaries and such.
Was there some little graphic touch to just the words Modern Apothecary on that sign?
What was the lettering style? I think they've got, like Modern's kind of a deco-ish type style. And then the apothecary part was definitely much earlier looking. That's almost like a mix between it's almost like a lettering style called Tucson, or like Big Top even, or Western. So.
Okay, so when someone asks you to hand paint the sign, what is the process that you go through before you actually come out with a finished product?
Well, sometimes people already have their logo, so I'm just asked to give it a hand like touch to it. So that's one way. There's also people who start a business who don't have any logos or anything yet, so we'll just come in and see what the business is trying to, like the feel of the business, what they're trying to portray, a style or an image. And then we go through many processes of design through that way, through just questions.
So is there a trial and error of saying,
Sometimes.
all right, I am going to, here, I'm going to throw these letters out at you of the words you want to use, and they go, not what I had in mind, or I like where you're going with this, but.
Yeah, usually I'll do, or when I'm working with somebody, we'll do like a few different options that kind of give a range of ideas, and then they can choose from those, and then we narrow it down to the one.
So once you start with, I wouldn't call it a sketch, but
Yeah, there'll be sketches.
Okay.
So yeah, we definitely do sketches and mock-ups and such.
So it's, I show you this, you agree, I do it, I give it to you, you pay me. I mean, that's a oversimplification,
yep.
but I mean,
Yeah.
there is a process
Yeah.
between those simple, get a job and get paid situation.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, there's definitely like it takes some time for sure, but I definitely want. I don't. It's not usually real fast. Yeah, like I usually take my time. I want them to like create a good product, so that usually takes some time to.
Okay. So tell me, what is the largest hand painted sign, if you will, that you did?
The largest one I've done probably was for the Madison Mallards out at their ballpark. I did some logo, some new, like there was like a new logo design, or they wanted up on a tiered seated system that was made out of shipping containers, and that was probably about 100 feet long by, I'd say, 30 feet tall or so.
Okay.
But it was split up between tiers, so that was pretty large.
Did you pick the duck?
I did not. No, that was, so they came to
had the
me.
duck.
Yeah, they came to me with their new logo, and they're like, we want this over there on this huge
So do you do any other large, I'm not saying maybe they're not all signs, any other large paintings, if you will?
Yeah, I've done quite a few murals. Then the largest one of those is probably like 20 foot by, I just did one last summer that was 16 feet by like 60 feet or so.
Right.
I've done a few of those.
So how do you go about doing such a large mural?
It depends on what the mural is going to be. Sometimes I've worked with graphic designers and created the imagery. I've also worked with groups who have already created a design, and then they just need it replicated large. So we take the image that we're going to create, and I have pounce patterns made. It's a sign painting technique to transfer an image. So a lot of times now I utilize like digital files to have a plotter draw me out little sections that I then like hand pounce, and that helps me put it up on the wall. So it's kind of, that's not a very great explanation of it.
No, okay, so I'm just trying to imagine, you know it's going to be this big.
Mm-hmm.
How do you section off based on the whole?
So you could do a grid pattern thing. I don't normally do that, but I mean that's an easy way to do it. I usually, since we do have these files available to us now, usually I'll have so we'll just do it up on the computer, like break it up so there's 4-foot sections, because usually I can handle a 4-foot section by myself. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have the plotter draw. Basically, we just take the image and we split it up into 4-foot sections, like 4-foot strips.
Okay, so you don't actually work on, I've sketched out this whole thing out, and I'm going to start painting here, and then I know to change here, and
yeah, I'll just do each of those 4-foot sections usually, and then when I'm laying it all out like on site, I'll pretty much just do a 4-foot section at a time, because then you don't always know what the weather's going to be doing and stuff. So I'll paint by 4-foot section, so it's 4 foot by however tall.
So this wouldn't work if you were painting a brick wall, though, would it?
Yeah. Yeah, I've painted brick. I've used that technique for brick and stucco and metal.
But you don't do a 4-foot section and hang it on a brick. I mean, you painting the brick.
No, so I transfer that over.
Okay.
So it's a chalk pattern
okay.
basically I'm creating. So yeah.
Sure.
And then so I'm following chalk lines,
Okay.
like a simplified version of the whole design, and then I'll have a guide of the picture so I know, like, so I don't get lost and know what my colors are going to be and such.
So, are there competitions involving these kinds of murals? Do you?
Sometimes, yeah. I've not been in a competition per se. I have been part of a mural festival out in Lake Geneva this last summer, actually. I'd like to do more. I definitely would like to do more murals and such. But the signs are nice though too. So it's a nice mix of things.
So the murals are more fine artwork as opposed to signage work.
Yeah, that's a really good like kind of mesh of the two, I think. So.
Right? So what's the smallest sign you've ever painted?
Probably like a little lettering on a gas can or such. Like
If someone gives you a gas can,
yeah,
and you,
like an old gas can or something, and do a
you could-
name on it or something. That's probably the smallest I've done. Or actually, there was a guy he had his. I do car shows quite often, and there was a man with his little runabout, and I think he put some dates on there for the car show. Those were pretty small, so I try not to do things too small though. My eyes aren't the greatest, and it's much harder actually to do small stuff than large.
okay. So how many signs would you say you've done this year, 2024?
Probably about 30, 40 signs, I'd say.
Is that something that's kind of developed into a regular occurrence?
Yeah, this has probably been my busiest year. So it's been I mean, it's always up and down kind of thing. But this is definitely it's grown to this part. So I'm hoping it keeps growing for sure.
So tell me what the major focus that you have when you're going to hand paint a sign. When it is done, what are you looking to have achieved?
Permanence is a very important thing for me, like longevity of the sign, quality. I'd say quality and permanence for sure.
When you say permanence, how long is a sign last?
Well, I buy the best materials that are available to me. I use so. I would hope. Well, I strive for it to last. I mean, at least 5 years, but it'll before it needs any maintenance. I would say, and then I'd say it's going to be up there for 20 years or more, really, possibly. So.
And if it's exterior, it's going to be affected by the weather. It's going to fade. It's going to.
Yeah.
So
I'd say hand-painted signs. That's the advantage of them. They age gracefully. They only get better with age, I would say, compared to like cut vinyl and stuff. It just fails.
Yeah.
It'll crack and peel and not look so good.
So would you say that's true of any material you paint on, or not? So
Well,
much?
each one's got its own thing. So I definitely need to. I always have to be researching and know, what the best quality materials I can use and how to approach how I'm going to paint on metal or brick or such. So.
Okay. So are you a member of any groups that do the kind of thing you do? Or are there groups like what you do?
Yeah, I'm not officially a member of any sign painter group, really. There aren't, to my knowledge, there's a loose affiliation of sign painters, I'd say. I mean, there are like gatherings, they're called letterhead meets and stuff, where sign painters get together and paint and.
Do you have family members interested in doing the same thing you do?
My daughter is. So she's been slowly learning how to paint, and I've just encouraged the drawing. She's going to be 10 here next week, so she's doing very well with drawing and
She likes hanging out in the shop.
Yep. She definitely loves hanging out in the shop. Tells me she's going to take it over, so we're working our way up to it. So she's going to be great.
Do you have a favorite material to work on?
I really like working on glass. I really like reverse painting glass and gilding. So
Well, gilding is doing what?
that's laying gold leaf and other like metals, and there's a huge range of techniques for that too. And I love exploring the different techniques of gilding. So there's like water gilding and oil gilding and lots of different.
You mentioned you saw a documentary back in the early 2010s. What was this documentary about? What did it speak to?
So it focused on sign painting as a lost art, which it was definitely becoming a lost art. And
what year was the documentary made?
I'm pretty sure it was 2012.
That's when you saw it, or that's when?
That's when it was made too.
Oh,
It was
okay.
made, and I saw. I'm not sure how I came across it, but I heard about it, and it was made actually out of Milwaukee, so it was close. And I remember going to like a preview of it at the Oriental Theater of the visual documentary of it, because it was a book and a visual documentary.
Okay. And what gives you joy in your work?
I love having a brush in my hand every day, almost. So I love painting, and I love just being there with the image that I'm painting, and I just love it. That's great. Everything about it. I don't know. Sometimes the weather's changing, but it's just the constant changing of things and being able to paint.
Do you like working outside more than in?
Yes, I do. I think I like working outside more.
Okay. And is it a 9-to-5 job?
Sometimes. Sometimes it can be sun up to sundown, or with lights. Depends on our deadline, I'd say. So
how do you see this going for you in the future?
I hope it keeps going. So I think it's only demand for hand painted signage has only grown so far since I've started, which is great. There's more competition now, but I think that's a good thing, because it's making more of a demand now too. Because I think people are becoming more knowledgeable that it's something to ask for, something that's available.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.